Okay,
so that's the only way they want to Okay, we don't have just, we'll just work on it. So
Yeah.
we'll probably have to sit close. Yeah. But the
Hi. Hi everyone, welcome back to the Purposeful Lifestyle Forum for the month of May. We want to use this opportunity to wish you all a happy Mother's, should we say weekend or day?
Yeah,
Weekend, I guess. So I hope
Yes.
you're getting spoiled by their kids. You're happy, and you can as well spoil yourself.
True, yes.
It's not easy being a mother. It's a lot. And in that light, we want to discuss on the role of mothers as role models. With me today, I have the amazing Fezzy Khomo. Yeah, she's a delightful and vibrant mommy to spend our time with. We are excited. We want to learn from her, and we're trusting that through her words of inspiration, you and I will get to be blessed in raising our kids. She's got quite a number of grown-ups. How many?
Yes, 4.
Wow, you see that, 4. So I'm excited. Grab your juice, drink whatever you got there, and join in our very interesting conversation. Okay, Fezzy, let's get to know you.
Okay, so Fezzy is a mom and a wife. Yeah, so I've got 2 older girls and 2 younger boys, but between the ages is from 26 to 19.
Wow.
Yes. Yeah, and I guess I would say that I'm also married. And my husband works in another town, so most of the time I spend most of the time with the kids.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I also like to add that Mrs Fezzy Khomo is a lecturer at the University of Technology, and also my colleague. I've learned a number of things from her. She's someone that she's conscious of her weight, and she's
Yes, I'm a yoga fanatic.
Talk about that. Let's speak about that, because wellness in terms of motherhood.
Yes, I actually got to understand the importance of taking a holistic health perspective on my life. So basically, my mental state is very important, and my physical state is very important, so that I can have clarity and direction in whatever I want to endeavor in. So that's me. So it's and I also live on that motto that says you are what you eat and also what you think.
Right.
So I'm always very mindful, and I'm always trying to exercise mindfulness and awareness as to what I'm actually putting into my body, because I know that the body is the temple of the Lord. So I really need to take care of it. So those are my it's my actually something close to my heart.
Yeah, I was wondering why you leave that out of your introduction. Because I think that's what really inspires me about you.
Oh, thank you
and
so
we
much.
forgot to mention she's dedicated, very passionate Christian, dedicated one at that, and a godly woman. So, in fact, we'll have the whole package. Yeah. Glory to God. Sit back and relax as we delve into this discussion. I'm Dr. Kuma, the Purposeful Lifestyle Coach. Welcome to this channel. If you are yet to subscribe, please do so before we go right into the discussion. So without much ado, Mrs. Fezzy, share with us, why do you think mothers are role models?
Well, as you all know that we give birth to these wonderful, precious kids of us, and we actually spend more time with our children, and we are seen as their guiding lights, their protector, and most of the time we are actually their cheerleaders. We encourage our children mostly, and in most cases, and me looking back, I relied more on my mom. So most of the time, I think that's one of the reasons why we are found to be the first role models in their lives, because we spend more time with the children, especially while they're growing up.
And I think we can't underestimate the role of mothers. We can't underestimate. Yes, we understand that fathers and mothers play an effective role in parenting and raising children properly. But besides that, I feel like nurturing that child, and it's the role of the mother, and it has a long way in influencing that child. So I want us to share with us your experience. Like, how have you seen your role as a mother influence your children to be who they are as young adults, if I may say, let's use that, because they are past teenage age now.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, how has your role influenced them really?
So, just you asking that question, the first thing that comes to mind is that struggle song that says, watinta umfazi, watinta imbogodo. And when you loosely translate that, it basically means that if you strike a woman, you strike a rock.
Wow.
So with us, I think that us as mothers, we weather all seasons with so much grace,
right.
And we ensure that we our struggles, we do them silently, and that is just so that we protect our kids. We want to have that nurturing and conducive environment for them to grow up properly without them worrying about what is going on. So I think that is one thing that we don't underestimate the role of parents, of mothers. And you find that mothers actually are selfless. They actually even put to halt their priorities or their ambitions and aspirations because they want their children to have that promising beginning. So that's why so parents mothers are always putting the interest of the kids before theirs. And I think that's why their role is so significant, because they are so selfless, they sacrifice, and just to make sure that their children, they can thrive
in everything they do.
Exactly.
Yeah, I just remember your daughter wrote a book a couple of years back, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I just could imagine how the feeling of fulfillment you had, seeing that you have raised the child to that level of doing a book launch, and even I think she facilitated and even presented. Share with us, let's get to know, because we're having children that we expect to be vision carriers as such. What roles, what steps do we need to take in ensuring that our children achieve their visions in terms of their goals in life? What roles do we play as mothers in terms of that?
I think, Doc, what's important that kids are so smart, and they also can see if you're not being genuine. So you need to walk the talk. So children actually want to see you doing what you are preaching. To them. So like, for example, you'd be saying to them, it's important that you eat your veggies. But if you're not eating them, they won't. You have to. If you're saying it's important to exercise, they must see you doing exercising. So speaking of my daughter, I've realized that I normally prefer working in the wee hours of the night. But because it's very quiet.
Right.
So I didn't know that my children actually saw that. Even though, like I said, when it comes to yoga, I prefer doing it in the wee hours when I can actually hear the birds tweaking, and that's my prayer time as well. So I didn't know that my kids actually paying attention. So when I was asking her, when did you write this book? When? Because teens are more onto their phones. You are so onto your social networks. Says, no, Mom, I was also waking up. I saw you waking up, and I thought, if you can do that, I can do it. Yeah. So she said she was actually waking up around that time as well, and working on her book. So that's why I'm saying that we should model the life that we wish our children, because at the end of the day, we want our children to be independent. We want them to set goals for their lives, and we want them to be independent at one point. So it's how are we modeling that for them? Because it's one thing to wish, and it's one thing to actually do it for them, so that they can actually see. It's exactly as when you let's say your child joins a team, let's say soccer. You would also be comfortable actually registering your child for that team if you know that coach was once a player himself.
Right.
So that's the same with us,
because
as well.
you're sure those potentials will be nurtured properly.
True. Yeah.
Wow.
Yes, so it's actually encouraging and actually humbling, and you just see that it's actually the grace of God. So also, I can't take all the credit.
No, we can't take
it. It's just the grace and favor of God as well, and also not leaning on our own understanding. At all times, we need to partner with God in when it comes to raising our children, and that is actually seeking His wisdom, because It is not an easy job being a parent, and you know,
It's
and
not.
when you've got 4 kids, their personalities also are different.
Different.
The way you talk to the one is different from the other one, you know, so you need
right.
to study them. Some are very sensitive. Even when you want to talk about a sensitive issue, you know, oh, with this one I need to approach it in this
certain
way.
ways.
Yes, yeah. Or sometimes you actually, some prefer you go out, some you prefer while we're watching a movie, then you just, you know, bring
Take
in
it
the
in.
yes. So I guess it's all about just finding the right approach and understanding your children,
Your children.
as well. Yeah.
Wow, I think I also struggle to understanding my children. Sometimes I go one way straight, and then I get to realize that no, this is only working for the certain child
Yes.
and not working for the other one. So I'm happy you mentioned that. Thank you for bringing our attention to that. Mothers watching, I hope you're paying attention. Just a recap from what I got now. We have to study our children to know what approaches and measures we take in terms of, you know, thriving in bringing them up and nurturing them to be great adults. I pray God will help us in Jesus' name.
Amen.
Let's look at the spiritual perspective, because I mean, I believe, as you mentioned earlier, that it's actually the grace of God. You know, let's look at the spiritual perspective. We've seen areas where, you know, you raise a child in the way he should go, and you know, as the scripture says, raise a child as the way in the way he should go, and he will not depart from it. Sadly, we've witnessed children that have been brought up properly from even, you know, very good Christian homes, and they turn out to be something else, not representing those roles, those mannerisms, those behaviors they've been taught, you know. And I don't know, in terms of spirituality, how do we handle such situations when your children turn out as adults, not representing all that they have been taught, all that, more, so to speak. I think they have been referred to as black sheep.
Yes.
Yeah. So how do we deal with such situations as godly parents or godly mothers?
Yes, it's so true. You find that as far as the parent is concerned, they've done all that was, because you know that just this verse that you shared, that is actually a promise from God,
Right.
that if you teach the child while they're young, they won't depart from there.
Right.
But it does happen that they do depart from that, sadly so. And you'd find that in some cases, from my perspective, is that I've noticed that with children is that you can't put your guard down. You can't put your guard down. Yes, especially when they get to their teen stages, because they get to also they get that peer pressure. So there's that influence from their friends. Also, so you need to be very active and involved in the type of friends that they actually choose for themselves. So it does help that, for example, in indirectly influencing the choice of friends that they make. For instance, in my case, it helped that I belong to a church.
Okay.
And then having friends within the church. Right. So you find our interests are the same, and then our friend and our kids become
friends.
Yes. So that does help. And then also it also comes back to the family as well, because as much as you've got relatives and cousins, there are cousins and relatives that are not exhibiting that lifestyle that you'd want for your children. So you need to choose where your children go to for holidays.
So you don't pick all those things that.
Yes, and remember that they are, at the end of the day, they are flesh, so they will be tempted, just like any other person gets tempted. Right. So it doesn't end. We just have to be there. And also in other cases, you find that some children are actually suffering from conditions that are not easily seen by us. Maybe it's ADHD or anxiety and stress, and we find that those children have departed, but it's not that, but it's just that they are crying out, saying that I'm actually not coping at the age appropriately. I need help, and maybe the parent hasn't also
identified that.
So just understanding those dynamics makes us more compassionate and more, more understanding. But I think in the nutshell, parents need to be more vigilant when it comes to who you get involved, know your children's friends, and identify who they visit in terms of on holidays. Do they go to what even if it's your relatives, but if you know they carry their lifestyle is not in alignment with
With
yours.
what your
Yes, and also
the
just
values.
and again, I'll just also say that we don't lean on our own strength. We always have to rely on God and partner with God when it comes to raising our kids. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think also investing in prayers, because I've seen situations where a mother never gave up on her son, that actually turned out like, he was just, at the end of the day, with the prayer, she never gave up. She kept praying until God intervened. That son ended up as a pastor. So
True.
so I mean, we can't just like, we can't just, what word will I use? Like,
Give up
on any child.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, there's always hope. Like, if we just keep praying for them and finding ways to, help them out, because hey, things are going on. Let's also talk about Gen Z generation. Let's come back to the Gen Zs. First, let's know for with the mothers of this era. I've discussed this with quite a number of mother friends I have, and we've realized that the children we're raising our generation it's quite concerning compared to how we're being raised.
Yeah.
So how do we strike a balance? Because it's an issue. When are we over pampering the children, and when are we being too strict?
I think when we talk about Gen Z children, I think it's where we need to, like you said, that we need to strike a balance. You need to set the ground rules.
Right.
So you need to, and sometimes you actually have to have a discussion with the children. They need to know what is right and what is wrong. What are the consequences? What punishments? What will it be, grounding, or will you take the phone away? There needs to be that understanding.
Okay.
And you need to be consistent with that agreement that you did with your children. And also, I think with these Gen Z kids, they also are obsessed with their technology, with their phones
and screens.
So yes, so I think it's also important that you set rules on when you especially when they're still young.
Right.
For example, you would tell them that in my case, I used to make sure that they only get their phones on the weekends. And also, for example, you can't attend your phone before 12.
Wow.
So if it's a weekend, so you need to do first your chores.
Right.
Yeah, and then you reward yourself. Also, if you have not done ABC, you won't get your phone. You need to first do ABC. For example, I used to make sure that in the mornings they read. They read their novels, and maybe at least a chapter, and they must write a book review of that chapter. And
now I see why you have authors. Now I see why you have authors as kids, eh? Wow, interesting.
So there needs to be, because at the end of the day, there must not be technology must not rule them. It must be the other way around. It might actually work for them. And I've noticed that as they've grown up, when it's exam time, I would hear one of the kids saying that I've actually deactivated yes, because it's actually
something
yeah.
still. So now personally they are being accountable.
Yeah, and I remember this one time I wanted to go to work. I fetched my child, my youngest. So, and I had to drive. I was actually feeling lazy to drive him home. Right. So I thought we'd start at the office together. Then I drop him off. And I said, let's go to the office first. Then I was trying to bribe him in a way, because I was saying that there's internet there, so you'll actually be says, no mom, it's just gonna distract him. I want to go home. Wow. I've got homework to do. So I think by just instilling those things in, it's amazing. And you must also do it. They must see you doing it. Yeah. If you're at the table during lunch or supper, make sure that nobody is actually using their phones. So I think there must be some control measures that we put in place, so that technology, you do not become a slave to technology, but it must actually enhance your life. So yeah, true. So that is.
Wow, I love those values. I think I've picked one or two. Thank you for sharing with us. Yeah, let's go back to the issue of mothers as role models, because I know we all grow up from different family orientations. There are certain values you learned that I might not have learned, which might have affected my way of raising my children or nurturing. And I believe that to an extent it rubs off on the children we raise. We have mothers, I don't want to call them bad mothers, but just because they are not paying enough attention or giving enough time, because this world is going so fast.
Yes.
Sometimes it feels like we're just after the money
Yeah.
to raise these children, and we're so much into chasing this money that our children do not have time. We do not have time to spend with the children to raise them rightly.
Yes.
So we now turn out to look like bad mothers, or not having that time to set the right, model the right things for our children to watch. Sometimes they are left at the mercy of nannies and whatnot, and they pick up certain behaviors. So I want you to share with us the implications and consequences of such when we unconsciously neglect our roles as role models for our children, and our children end up being influenced by wrongly, or even by social media, because we're not available for them. What are the implications of this situation?
True, that's what's happening right now. We are all in that rat race game, and children do get sometimes left behind. And then I think for me, is you as a mother, you need to have a vision. All of us need to, because we are the leaders of our children.
Right.
So as a leader, you have got a vision for what you want your children to turn out to be. So based on that, it also makes you have a routine that you put in place that can even work in you. It's kind of like control measures. It's just like having a business. They say that a business without control measures in place, there are loopholes that can actually affect the business. Yes. Same with your family. You need to a certain take it as if you are the leader of that family, and then there must be some ground rules, like what I just shared. Even if I have to not, I won't be there, but they must know that this is what is expected of me.
Set standard routines
to follow. Yes. So not even if you're not there, you know that they are being implemented.
Right.
Yeah. And just making sure that they're accountable, because when you come back, what were your challenges? Were you able to find that? Yes. And what challenges did you just make some time to be with your children? I think that is one of the things, but I want to be honest, it's not an easy. I wouldn't say that
I know.
Yeah, but I just I grew up and my mother grew us up to be independent individuals, and I also wanted that for my children. For example, I just hated the fact of at 12 I have to drop everything, because I know I have to go fetch my kids from school. I just used to feel that it's interrupting me. Then I thought at one age, I think my younger ones, they were 6 and 8, still in primary. Then I told myself that I would teach them how to use the bus, because there was a bus that used to travel past our.
Wow.
So we did that for 2 weeks.
6 and 8.
So, actually, it was 8 and 2 because they're in primary school. Yeah, so it was 8 and 10 because they're 2 years apart. Sorry, yeah, so it was 8 and 10. But they're short because we are all short in our family. So they really looked so young.
Small.
But yeah, because the one was in grade 2 and the other one was in grade 4.
That's
yeah,
small.
So it was 8 and 10. Yeah. So we did that for 2 weeks until they told me that, Mom, we are fine. Then I left them to that. So I taught them early that and we used to give them pocket money, that in case the bus doesn't come, then you will phone, or if there's any problem, then you'll phone me, then I'll come and fetch you. So for me, it was instilling self-reliance while they were still, and responsibility while they were still young.
Wow.
So I think just having those in
place.
Yeah, that actually trusting our children also that they can do it, because that actually is
helped.
Yes, it helped.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like I remember my mother actually discussing this with me, that she actually lives very far from the primary school her child attended, which is the same with my children. And for me, the school is actually close to me. Like, will actually, let my kids work. And she was wondering why they are not walking to school.
Yeah.
Because already she has arranged that when it's difficult for her to pick the child, she has taught the child how to take the transport. But I kept wondering, the security.
Oh, I see. That is when we just have to trust God, I guess.
Again, yeah.
That we Yeah, that he is going to protect them, and he will put them under the shadow of their wings. Yeah, and no harm will come to them. They will just witness the rewards of the wicked. So yeah, because at the end of the day, it was like I need to also, I've got goals that I want to fulfill for their benefit.
Right.
Yeah. So and I think just them seeing me working so hard is actually I can see that
it influenced them as well.
Influenced them now.
Wow.
I don't follow up on them. I'm actually amazed. Some I always say that my kids somehow are also my role models, because I see how they work hard and how they excuse me, how
they're flourishing as
yes
well.
So that is like amazing.
That's such a joy. Wow, you're doing well, Fezzy.
Yeah,
I wish God will help us all in our motherhood journey, because I believe we're all at different phases. Some people are raising toddlers, some are nursing mothers, some are teenagers. I'm battling with teenage motherhood right now, being a mother to 3 teenagers already. So I believe there are different, in our own different spheres of motherhood journey. We've learned 1 or 2 things from Ma'am Fezzy, yeah, in terms of accountability, responsibility, and just modeling the right manners and behaviors and standards and routines. Thank you for sharing that with us. One of our final questions before we release you, we want to know, what are those very outstanding roles your mother played that makes you look up to her as a role model, of which has also greatly influenced the way you're raising your children? 1 or 2 outstanding values, that inspire you about your mom.
So my mom, I normally used to say, her motto was that God helps those that help themselves. And that what her interpretation was that if you seek God's ways and you seek His righteousness and His knowledge, you are basically helping yourself. And she used to, and on that note, she was got her degree after 40, her first degree after 40.
Wow.
And we got our first home after she in her 40s. And she started driving. She got her first car when she was 60.
You kid me not.
I'm serious. So I just looked at, so that just told me that whatever we want is within us. And if we trust God and trust on His word, indeed He is our strength. It gives us all the courage, and He will actually, He will help us navigate until we get to that goal. So my mom taught me the importance of resilience, the importance of being goal orientated, and not just giving up on life. Yeah, and so she worked so hard to make a better life for us, and that has actually been that has influenced me. Yes, in also trying to work hard so that my children get a better life as well. Yeah.
Wow, I love that resilience.
Yes.
40 years and 60 having a car.
Yeah.
That's an interesting story.
Yeah.
Wow, viewers are hearing that there's no room for giving up, and I think sometimes we get to a point where we even actually write off ourselves. I think this is an inspiration you've shared with us, and God will really help us in the name of Jesus.
Amen.
Yeah, we're wrapping up. What advice do you have for mothers watching, nursing mothers, mothers with toddlers, mothers with teenagers?
I think like I said, that I would be lying if I said that it has been a smooth journey, me bringing up my kids. It's been a roller coaster. You mentioned that you've got teenagers. I also struggled with, especially with my firstborn. There was some friction for quite a while. I needed counseling. I needed to get wisdom from God. I think for her, unfortunately, being her firstborn, I think I expected too much from her. And I had to actually step back and realize that, you know what, she's a child at the end of the day. So I think what I would say to parents is that when you go to that verse that says, I think it's Ephesians 6 verse 4, which says, fathers and mothers, do not aggravate your children. Do not provoke your children. I think it's a don't provoke, don't embitter them, don't
frustrate even.
yes, and don't anger them, and also don't break their spirits. So that made me realize that I need to actually seek God, and that mindfulness and awareness. When I'm trying to reprimand or discipline, I also need to check where I am. From what position am I speaking from? Is it a position of anger or frustration, or am I stressed as well? So I need to first to align myself with the truth of God before I even approach my child, so that they get whatever I'm saying to them is that from a position of love. So I think we need to always do that self introspection, and also just having humility and humble yourself if you are wrong, because sometimes we don't always get it right. And if you realize that you didn't, humble yourself and apologize and reset and start all over. So it is all that's how your children will actually appreciate, that you actually also are considerate, and don't over exercise your authority. Yes, because sometimes you need to compromise, especially as they grow. Yes, because as they grow, they've got their own minds. So you need to get to ask them
where to negotiate.
Yes,
Wow. Well, I think I'm battling with that phase now, because all this while I've been the one making the rules.
I know.
So suddenly it's feeling like now my rules are being challenged.
Exactly. I know. Because even with
I'm battling with that phase right now.
Tell me about it, because
easy.
for instance, my kids cook, and I taught them not to cook.
Right.
But when if one of my sons, he always makes sure, Mom, you have to leave the kitchen when I'm cooking, because I want to control it. Is it the way you do it? Is it the way you cook the cabbage? They said, Mom, you started. Please leave the kitchen. Then I have to remember that. Okay, they've got their own minds. Ways of doing things. Then I just have to leave.
Wow.
Yeah. So I think.
So humbling. Wow. So I think the teenage phase is a phase that actually humbles the parents, and maybe mothers particularly. From a point of empathy. Yeah, so mothers in the house, you're having teenagers, I'm sure you can relate. Yeah, there's a point it gets to where we need to actually compromise and let them just have their ways, but not to a point where we're misleading them. I pray God will help us. Thank you so much, Miss Fezzy. It was nice having you.
Thank you. It's a privilege.
Happy Mother's Day.
Thank you. Same to you.
And all mothers in the house, mothers to be, we wish you an amazing mother celebration weekend. God bless you, and see you next month.
Bye. Oh my gosh.
Share.
That was not so bad.